just an underlying moral compass that everything I do, I wouldn't do it if I didn't feel it was right, or if I didn't feel that it just kind of made sense. When things have not made sense to me from an intuition standpoint, from a moral compass standpoint, I haven't done them. And I think that's a differentiator across the board, whether you're working in a Fortune 500 company or whether you're starting a nonprofit or working in a small nonprofit. You really gotta lead with that. And I think if you do that, you'll be not only an authentic leader, but you'll also really have a real measurable impact. The biggest story, the one that was most impactful for me was my 5th birthday. My best friend in the world at the time, his name is Justin. Justin and I thick as thieves. If he said to jump, I'd say how high. We were up on my neighbor's driveway, and we were, again, about 10 feet above my parents' driveway. And there's a grass kind of area right below the wall separating the two, this 10-foot wall. And Justin looks down, and his mom's right below him, and says to me, "Push me off." And I said, "What do you mean?" And he said, "Push me off this. My mom will catch me." And I said, "No. I don't believe that. She'll catch me. She's right there." Of course his mom didn't catch him. He broke his leg, of course. It was not as simple as that. 7 years old, it kind of had an impact. And made me realize that, for one, I need to make sure to stick up and stand for what I believe in. That was really, really important, because I didn't think I should push him off that ledge, but he persuaded me that I should. And secondly, that there are real consequences for not standing up for what you really believe in. I was working at Google.org. At the time, there was an intense debate brewing, largely funded by oil companies, to try to persuade people that electric cars were going to actually pollute the air worse than conventional vehicles. And we knew from research not the case, but the problem is that a lot of the grid today, and then as well, was fed by coal. So Americans bought it. What we ended up doing was taking this on head on. We hired some drivers to drive the vehicles, both kind of conventional vehicles and hybrid electric vehicles. We took these vehicles, we took the way people drive, and we hired these drivers to go and drive as drivers would, and they drove both kind of regular Priuses that you could buy today. They drove converted Priuses, which means Priuses that had these extra batteries that we bought from battery manufacturers, as well as just conventional vehicles. We happened to see how they compared. Well, what ended up happening is that the plug-in hybrids drove phenomenally well. They polluted very, very little. And we found out that they drove on average of 95 miles to the gallon, which was far greater than we even thought from research, far greater than certainly the public debate was saying.
If I hear you correctly, what you feel your contribution was supplying the data and the experiment to refute what the oil companies were saying?
Yeah, that's correct.
So what do you think, if you were to take a lesson learned from that and apply it to future projects, what did you learn from that?
Well, even when you're uncertain, when you're unsure of the outcome, you don't know if you're actually going to be right, that the risk and the reward can outweigh the risk in the end. And even if you're going against a really formidable, I don't want to say opponent, but the status quo, it can be, well, very tough. The reward can really outweigh that. The organization I used to run is called New Leaders Council. And we basically looked at all the models for organizations out there and thought that there are a lot of great organizations out there, but they cost a whole lot of money to run. And wanted to know if there's a way we could do it with far smaller budget and scale at a rapid pace. And basically what we did is take volunteers and make them staff. And I don't mean have someone, forfeit a job for the sake of volunteering and call that a job and try to pay the bills through loans, but really rather that people would actually work outside of work hours and before work and on weekends to help make something really successful. And ultimately, it's because they believed in what we do, that they were able to dedicate the kind of time they did. The way we've organized, the way we run as an organization, where instead of needing $250,000 to open an office in a city and hire a local director, we do for a fraction of that. $25,000 over the course of a year, as opposed to $250,000 for just startup costs and general operations. So that model is a new one that people are going to be using in the future, and that you want people to buy into what you're doing, but not just buy in, but also own a chunk of it. You want them to own whatever they're responsible for and feel ownership, feel responsibility for whatever they're doing, because no one wants to do. I should take a step back. Very few people will feel fulfilled by not seeing the impact of what they're doing. And if people can feel ownership and feel empowered to do it, if you invest in them, they'll invest in you. And that to me is a fundamental principle from a nonprofit to a for-profit, any kind of enterprise, and benefit from that. My passion is in creating things, and things that especially have a positive social impact. I was talking to one of my classmates from Germany, and she was saying that in Germany, failure is, if you start a business and it doesn't succeed, you are an outcast. And I was just thinking, well, in the US, I think we recognize that 9 out of 10 businesses fail. So if that were the measurement in the US, then we'd almost all be failure. Almost everyone who started a company would be a failure. Failure is pretty scary to people. Or I should say failing is scary to people. But oftentimes you learn the most when you fail. And so I think if I fail, I'll learn a lot and hopefully succeed after that.